Michael, how are you today?
Hey, good morning. I'm good. Matalo. I'm doing
Oh,
well.
nice to meet you. I have to tell you, I actually covered the premiere for Dances of Wolves. I remember being, yes, in Washington, D.C. for that premiere. It was extraordinary event. Now, I know you were just a little guy, but were you there?
In the at the Washington D.C. premiere,
Yes.
I got to go to L.A. and
Okay.
do that
Okay.
one.
Well, that's good.
I,
That's good.
I didn't get to go
I
to
did the
Washington.
junket for it, but I do remember the premiere, and it was quite extraordinary. And it's something I will remember for my entire life because it was such a memorable film. So, congratulations because it kicked off your career. And I got to tell
Sure.
you, my friend, you are extraordinary in this docu-series. I can't imagine what an honor and privilege it must have been for you to play Sitting Bull. But how did it come to you? And then once it all kicked in, you were like, oh my God, oh my God.
Well, I guess it starts with the relationships that you make in this business, and as you know, being Lakota, I literally got a personal call from Larry Pooyer. He's a relative of mine who I've worked with in the past many times, and he called me on the phone and asked if I was, my availability, and said, "Hey, you're our choice. You're my choice. We need a sitting bull, and you're him."
And where do you even start though, Michael? I mean, look, you are Lakota, so that's obviously going to influence how you play the role. You've been brought up your whole life knowing who he is. But then you really have to dive deep, I would think, into really getting to know who this man was on a maybe, a personal level, things we are finding out through this docuseries. Where did you start to connect with him?
I guess I started from within. Um, being Lakota, we have a connection, and we say "Mitakuye Oyasi," which means we're all relatives, and that connectedness starts with a prayer.
Mm.
And when I first learned, I was going to be given this opportunity, it started with a prayer, and just looking within myself and connecting with the universe and his spirit. I went to ceremony
Yeah.
and asked permission, and it all started with a prayer and being thankful that they did what they did so that I can be here.
Yeah, and then you clearly went from working on the series 1923, by the way, another great performance from you on that series, but then you dive into this. Was there anything that you had to do to prepare, maybe even physically, that was, to take on the role of Sitting Bull?
When I had the chance to jump into the character, the man, the legend, Grandpa Sitting
Yeah.
Bull. That at that time he was running and trying to survive and hungry.
Mm.
So personally, I was also on that journey of discovering some things that I'm allergic to, and figuring out navigating through some medical issues as well. But I'm about 45 pounds heavier now than I was on the show,
Wow.
and that
That's
definitely played a big role in stepping into those moccasins.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And like I say, this is such a wonderful series, and it's helmed by, some great people, including Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, to have him behind this is quite extraordinary. Was he a hands-on producer? Or, did you get to spend any time with him? Did he have any kind of insight, or was he kind of the producer that just like left it, trusted you guys?
Yeah, I believe he was that type of producer. I didn't get a chance to communicate with him on location or anything. We went up to Canada and
Yeah.
we're up there for a month, and he was most likely working on something at the same time as well, as he's a very busy man, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And just knowing that he had our back was uh, was strength in itself.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm speaking to you from Toronto. I am Canadian, born and proud to be Canadian, and we have such a wonderful Native history here, as you clearly know. What was it? Because from what I understand, and even just from my learning as a kid growing up, Sitting Bull sought refuge in Canada. So, what was it for you to be shooting in Canada? Can you talk a little bit about that and connecting with the cast and crew and how you guys maybe felt a little bit more connected shooting here?
You know, it was almost it was surreal at first, you know, but crossing the medicine line and getting to literally do the same thing, you know, that he did is really stepping into those shoes. It was just it's very personal, very emotional. I do have a still a living relationship with all the cast and some of the crew on the show, and we connected in, I believe, very similar ways that he would have. You know, I just he's a incredible person. He's a friend. He's a relative, and I made friends and relative on the show as well. So getting to step into that same space was helped me to better to embody the character, the legend that Grandpa Sitting Bull is.
Yeah. Yeah, you say, a legend and like I say, he's so prominent in history. What did you learn about him, Michael, that maybe surprised you or impressed you? Something you did not know, maybe learning growing up or just from doing your research and playing him. Was there anything that maybe even connected you more and you learned about him?
You know, in growing up, you know, you always hear about what a fierce warrior he was, and you know, and how and really you for me, I that was the takeaway was actually how connected and humble he was, how spiritually grounded he was, what an incredible strategist he was.
Mm,
You know, I and how his connection, you know, ultimately led to the victory at Greasy Grass. You know, I got to learn some of his favorite songs and his friendships as a child. You know, I didn't know how close he was with some of the other chiefs in Gaul and you know, he wasn't just a a war leader. You know,
yeah.
he was a friend, he was a relative, and how his impacts are still felt up all the way up into Canada now. You know, we have
Yep.
relatives way up there now, carry the kettle, and how the language has changed and is still our active spiritual communication. You know, he left a couple of his boys up there who um, you know, still have a working and living relationship in their tribal communities. It's just that, you know, his touch and his legacy is still alive and well today. You know, that fire is burning still.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what you just said was going to be, my last question was, what would you like people to take away? But I think you just already answered that because I learned so much more about this man. What a wonderful, wonderful docu-series. Thank you so much for it. And thank you for your time today. You are extraordinary. And of course, you are welcome here in Canada anytime. Bring the family.
Hey, thank you, thank you. I do have connections up there who I'm still learning through my mother's father, who is Canadian
That's wonderful. That's so
Lakota.
great. That's so great, Michael. Thank you so much for your time today. It's an extraordinary docu-series, and the best of luck with it. And have a wonderful rest of your day today. Thank you.
Thank you. You
Oh,
too. It's a pleasure.
thank you. Take care. Bye bye.